What's up, YouTube? This is Austin at Tyranitrade, and today we're going to be doing a video on market speculation and how to make the most of it. So, I've got some slabs here on what I'm speculating in today's market, and I've got some slabs I've done well on, and I just want to go over some things. So, to start things out, I just want to say this is not financial advice. Um, there are some plays that I've made, but for the most part, everything I bought is stuff that I like, and that's what's done the best. So to start things out, we got these reverse holo cards. I bought these in PSA 10s a couple years ago before the hype. I just really liked them. I love the holo patterns. I love the gold text. The stamp didn't bother me, and so I wanted to set out and collect all three of these in a PSA 10. So what ended up happening is I was able to get two of them at a really good price, and the third one just kept skyrocketing in price. So what I ended up doing was securing backup copies in PSA 9s, and I ended up letting go of my PSA 10s just because they were getting a little bit too expensive. So we got the Dark Tyranitar and the Delta Species Tyranitar. And once again, these are just cards that I enjoyed. I genuinely enjoyed them. I thought they were super neat with the gold text and everything. So moving on, now we got the Shining Tyranitars. So for me, this was my all-time grail. I pulled the unlimited copy as a kid. I still have that copy. It is not in the best shape. So I wanted to set out and get a first edition copy. And at the time I was collecting predominantly nines. So I picked up a nine. It was like $1,150. A lot of money. Most money I've ever spent on a card up until this point. And I liked it, but I loved it really. But to me, I was like, man, this is my all time favorite card. I should get the 10. So before I got that 10, I got the unlimited 9 to match it. But I really wanted the 10. So what I did was I set out to find a copy, a clean copy, and I shelled out the dough, which was a lot of money at the time. It was $3,400. But nothing compared to what it is now. And my logic behind buying this was at the time I seen the Moonbryon selling frequently at card shows for 3 grand, and I was like, oh, this is only a few $100 more than the Moonbryon. Why is this so slept on? Why does nobody want this card? Or maybe not nobody, but why is it so slept on for the pop report? I think the pop is like 176 right now, and the Moonbryon was like 20,000 at the time, so it didn't make any sense to me. So I scooped a copy. I wish I bought 4 or 5. I should have been buying every copy on the market at that time, but I didn't. It's a lot of money. $3,000 is a lot of money. So we ended up securing one copy, and this is my by far best performing purchase. And one thing I've learned from that is, though I enjoy PSA 9s, I don't really understand paying the premium for a 10 when a 9 is basically just as clean. I do think the 10s are where the money's at. If you got the money to buy a 10, buy the 10. But in today's market, 10s are just outrageous, so maybe that's not the play. So moving on to something a little bit easier to acquire for most people, I've got a Glaceon VMAX. Now to me, if the Moonbryon is a $4,000 or $5,000 card right now, it's popped 20,000. Why aren't the other evolutions in the thousands? This is like a $600-$700 PSA 10. I think any of these evolutions are a good speculative play. Like I said, this is not financial advice, but either the Moonbryon is overvalued or these are severely undervalued. You make up your mind on that. I know the Moonbryon should command a slight premium, but there are more graded copies than probably any of the other evolutions. And let alone the promos of Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon are probably really good buys. I don't know what they're going for, but probably a really good speculative play to buy up everything but the Moonbreon right now, because I don't see how this has stayed at $600-700 and how it's not a $1,200 card or a $2,000 card. So that could be a good move going forward, buying up these copies and sitting on them. Now on from there, when I'm looking at stuff, this market's gone crazy. Back in 2023, it was a lot easier to find stuff and just take a gamble on it. If you really liked it, you thought it was worth it, it didn't matter. $3,000, you'll make that back pretty easily. But today's day and age, you got to get a little creative on what you're speculating on. So I made this play on these EX secret rares. This one's actually a promo, the Shaman. But the rest of the secret rares, they kind of go together as a set, which is super cool. They got a great artist. I don't know who this Tokia is, but this art is phenomenal. Most of them are Mitsuhiro Rita, which he's one of the OGs in Pokemon art, I guess you could say. But basically, I started buying these up, and I don't know the exact price on all of them, but I thought there was a play to be made. So, beginning of the year, I decided to go after these, and I scooped this up for about $650 after tax. It's a new cert. I know these cards are really hard to grade, and if you look at the pop reports, they're very comparable to the shinies. Or this is a 9, so pop reports are comparable to the OG shinings, which is great. That means they're not, super populated. Like even some of these other ones, these ones are a little bit higher pop, but when it comes to the two promos in this set, they're extremely low pop. Not low pop like pop 5, but I want to say it's like around 100 in a PSA 10 and 400 in a 9. So great plays to be made here. A lot of potential value to be made, and like I said, I paid $650. I believe this is already at $1,500 for a PSA 9, and the 10 went from $4,000 to $12,000 in that time frame. I had opportunity to buy one at $6,000, but last sold was $4,000, and I didn't feel comfortable spending $6,000 on a 10. And then I watched it sell for $8,000 and $12,000. So if I would have just scooped the 10, I would have been up a lot more money. But it's cool to be able to get the whole set. And so that's what I set out to do. I scooped the whole set. So we got the Shaman, the Gardevoir. This one's still super cheap, I believe. I don't know if it's gone up much since I purchased, but I want to say I spent under $200 on it. This one I spent under $100 on, and these are new certs, so super clean copies. This one I know went up in price. This was actually one of the first ones I had my eyes set on. It's a Alakazam. It's basically the original Altart. It's got an Umbreon and a Lugia in the background. Super slept on for the longest time. I paid $190 at a card show, and I think it's already pushing $500 for a PSA 9. So already doubled my money. These ones were some of the last that I scooped, so I don't know if the market's moved much since then, but for the sake of completing the set, I had to get them. I didn't think spending $400 a piece was too outrageous for a card this awesome, even in a PSA 9. And this is another one like the Alakazam that I just had to have. I've had this card raw, wouldn't grade well, had to scoop the 9. New cert. We got Greninja, Manaphy. Super cool card. And this is the other promo in there. It's probably, it's not a bad artwork by Hasuno, but just the Pokemon aren't the most climatic for me, mainly because it's X and Y. That was a little bit after my time, but still the artwork's amazing. You got two legendaries, and it's a super low pop card. So worth speculating on. I got this for around $600-700, and I believe this has gone up as well. And the whole time I'm using pop reports to figure out what I want to buy. I think pop reports are a great tool to use. And then I'm also using just time in the hobby, what I think is popular, and things that I enjoy. That's the number one thing. Buy things that you like, because if the market retraces, at least you got the card you like, you know. Maybe you overpaid. You got the card you like. That's all that matters. You don't need to sell it unless something serious comes up, God forbid. But those are some things you need to look for. So my current goal in the hobby is chasing this set right here. So I am 2/3 of the way complete with it. I've got the Drifloom. This is a shiny. Super low pop, pop 65 or something like that. It's like pop 8 in a PSA 10. Like, this thing is impossible to grade. It came out right after the gold stars. They're reverse hollows, so they're hard to grade. Not a lot of people are going to be getting 10s of this card anytime soon, especially with the new PSA standards. So finding cards like this, like, to me, this is a play. While everyone else is saying everything is too expensive, I'm still making plays. And this is what I'm doing right here. So we got the Drifloom. We got the Voltorb. This is actually my buddy's favorite card of the set. It's probably my least favorite. Nothing against Voltorb, but he is just a circle. But super cool seeing the shiny version. You know, we got another new cert here. Then we have a Shinx. And these are all PSA 9s. This copy was super clean. I bought this and it already went up in price. And so I ended up buying another copy. Because I thought, you know what? These cards are that cool. It's worth having a couple copies. And maybe I can use this to trade into the rest of the set if I need. Actually, I'll probably keep this one. It's new cert. This 6 cert is super clean too for a 9. There's one white dot on that corner, but other than that, it's a pretty clean card. And then we got the Ponyta. This one actually dropped in price since I bought it, but given that I'm the last 2 sales, the drop in price just kind of dropped my overall cost basis. So I have another card coming in the way. I got another one of these on the way. Paid $1,200 for this, and I paid $965 after tax for the second copy. So kind of sucks it brought comps down, but I think long term this is a good play considering how badass this Ponyta looks. To me, these are like the original baby shinies. And if you're familiar with card shows, you've been around them, you know baby shinies are hot right now. They sell like hotcakes. You put them in a binder, they are flying off the shelves. So to me, these are like the original baby shinies. You could argue, you know, it's the Shinings because they got a small box. You could argue it's the Gold Stars because they got, you know, the Mudkips and the Tricos and stuff, the baby Pokemon in there. But I would say this is more comparable. And the other cool thing about these is, if you look at the artwork, they're kind of like illustration rares. I feel like these get a lot of hate. I feel like they're super slept on. But realistically, the artwork is very illustration rare-esque, whereas the Gold Stars kind of hyper focus on the Pokemon and don't put as much focus on the whole art, the art as a whole. And if you look at these illustrators, they're stacked. You know, we got Nishida, we got EO. I don't know who that is, but I mean, this Ponyta is clearly a banger. Then we got this Bagon. This is the one I paid the most for. Don't know if I want to share that on camera because this one also dropped in price. So maybe I'm not the best person to be making these speculation videos, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. And like I said, I enjoy the cards. So at the end of the day, if they drop in value, I don't mind holding on to them. Yeah, it sucks I maybe lost out of some money, but that's the risk you take in this hobby, you know, and I'd rather do it with something like this than something super high pop, even though I did say this there's a play to be made on these. This is something rare, exclusive, not many people are going to have it. So, if I'm one of the people that has it, even if it's just in a 9, I'm super excited. A lot of people will never achieve a PSA 10 complete set, and I believe there's only been one or two ever completed in all the time this hobby's been around or these cards have released. Now this one is actually the first one I picked up. I think I paid like $700 in an auction, and you know I was looking at the scans. I was like, oh, that's a pretty clean copy for a 7 cert. You know, it's got a couple white dots on the corners, but I was looking at it. This is cool. It's a shiny. For a bug type Pokemon, maybe it's not super hype, but I think it's pretty cool. Little dragonfly. So we took a gamble on this. I paid top of market in the auction, and I'm glad I did because it started this whole journey. I think yeah, $700. Prior sold from that was maybe like 450 or something like that. But there hasn't been another listing since. So this is one I actually made some money on. Um, I bought this for $1,000, and it has gone up to I believe 1,500 was the last sold. And this is a beautiful artwork. You got an Arita original. It's like fall, little like dot speckles on the background. It's a golden Vulpix, Gen 1 Pokemon. You can't go wrong. So picked that up for like 1,000. And the last one I got is a Swablu. So this one I think I paid either 7 or 750 private sale. Super cool card. Um, I mean Swablu, it's a cool Pokemon in my eyes. It's a Dragon type from Gen 3. You know, and that's another thing about all these. They're all Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are the best gens in my opinion. So these are all teams or Pokemon you would have on your team in the game potentially. I played with Swablu, had an Altaria, I had a full Dragon team at one point in Pokemon Ruby, and I think this Pokemon's sick. I think the shiny's awesome. It's golden. So things to take home on these cards is you got great art, you got shinies, you got low pop. You know what's not to love, realistically. And I think I've made some money on a few of them or expected value. Like I said, this one dropped, but on the last 2 sales. This one went up. No listings of that. I want to say this one's gone up. This one had a sale, I'm pretty sure. This one went down in price since I purchased, but I took a gamble on it. This one, I probably paid top of market. I don't know if there's been another listing since I purchased this, but it's a new cert, super rare. I believe this one's gone up since I purchased it. I think I paid around $750 for this. And these ones have gone up, and there's actually quite a few listings, and they're all around $3,000. So I think I paid 1,000 for this one, and I paid like 1,400 for this one. So there are plays to be made. There's money to be made still. This might be a little bit out of most people's price range. It's even a little bit out of my price range, but use the tools to your advantage. You know, find cards you like, number one. Find the pop reports, see what else is selling. If the Bubble Muse pop 13,000, I don't even know what it's at, but I like to use the Moonbreon as a baseline. So if the Moonbreon has a pop 21,000 or yeah, 21,000 PSA 10s and it's selling for 4,500, what can I buy in that 4,500 range that is a grail and is much, you know, much lower pop? That's what I'm looking for. Now I know these are 9s. I don't even know what the Moonbreon goes for in a 9, but it's probably comparable to these cards if you really think about it. And Like I said, the 10s are almost unobtainable. So acquiring 9s is the next best thing. And the price isn't too bad, in the low thousands. Now the next cards I need, they are going to be expensive. I think the Lotad and the Relicanth I need are probably not going to be too bad. And when I say not going to be too bad, probably $1,000 a piece, maybe a little bit more. The Milotic sells for like $3,300, so that one's going to break the bank a little bit. And the Duskull had a last sold at 2,000, but that sold is kind of an outlier. So, but the Duskull is pretty sweet, so it's going to run me another 5, 6, maybe $7,000 to acquire the rest of this set, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. And in the meantime, if I see some at a good price, I'll probably scoop those copies up too, because I believe in these cards and I like them. So you make your own decisions. Like I said, find stuff you like, look at the data, data being population, uh, pricing on it, popularity, all those things, and come to your own conclusions on what's a good buy or not. And with that being said, this has been Austin at Tyranitrade. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.